Amid the storm that swept across his nation, a young but steady voice rose like a thunder of hope. Ibrahim Traoré, a son of Africa, emerged not just as a president, but as the voice of a people longing for change. Under the morning sun, the capital shimmered in golden light, but the warmth truly felt by the people came from the words of their young leader. Traoré wasn't a ruler born of elite circles or foreign approval. He was one of them. He carried the pain, the hope, and the dreams of the people in his very being. His speeches, often delivered in public squares with emotion in his voice and eyes fixed on the crowd, sought not just to inform, but to connect. He spoke in a language his people truly understood, not just linguistically but emotionally. He addressed wounds left by colonialism, endemic corruption, and the brutality that tore families and communities apart. His words became a balm for souls tired of broken promises and leaders drunk on power. Unlike others, he didn't avoid difficult topics. He confronted them, acknowledging past mistakes, while instilling an unshakable belief in his people's resilience. Traoré's leadership style was rare. In rallies and remote village gatherings, he listened more than he spoke. He knew that real sovereignty began by empowering citizens, by restoring dignity and creating opportunities. His youth, once seen as a weakness, became a bridge to the country's young majority. They saw in him a mirror of their frustrations, their urgency, and their desire for real change. His central message was clear: unity, self-belief, and hard work. "We are the only architects of our destiny," he often declared. No salvation would come from foreign aid or powers with hidden agendas. The only real power lay within. His honesty was sometimes brutal, but refreshing. He called for sacrifice, a change of mindset, and the rejection of passive hopelessness. "Freedom has a price, dignity takes effort," he reminded them. But it wasn't just words. His commitment to authenticity showed in his daily choices. He wore traditional garments instead of Western suits. He visited schools and markets with minimal security. He worked alongside locals in community projects. He didn't want to be seen as a distant authority, but as a brother, a fellow citizen shouldering leadership with the help of all. Traoré's vision for the future was rooted in Africa's rich past and cultural pride. He spoke of a sovereign nation in both name and practice, one that managed its own resources, defended its people, and ensured dignity for all. He constantly invoked the legacy of great African empires and the ancestral wisdom that had endured through time. By using local proverbs and cultural references, he drew his people into a shared emotional space. It wasn't just politics, it was identity. It was healing. He especially called on the youth to rise. "You are not just the future, you are the present," he said. Many young people, often ignored and unemployed, felt seen and empowered for the first time. He knew that without their energy and creativity, no national project could succeed. Traoré didn't shy away from naming the forces trying to block progress. He denounced corruption, exposed internal sabotage, and warned against neo-colonial influence. His rhetoric was sometimes fiery, but always aimed at unity and resistance against exploitation. One of his strongest beliefs was the need to restore national pride. For too long, people had been taught to see themselves as victims of history. He challenged that. "We are heirs to greatness," he insisted, and he worked tirelessly to rebuild that confidence. Every citizen had a role to play. Whether a farmer, teacher, artisan, or merchant, their work mattered. "No contribution is too small when building the future of our children," he would say. This message inspired a renewed sense of shared responsibility. Many responded with enthusiasm. His speeches were eagerly discussed across markets and family tables. For the first time in years, people felt represented. They saw in him not a politician, but a man who understood and shared their daily struggles. Of course, not everyone believed. Some saw another military figure hiding behind hopeful words. Elites whose interests were threatened fought to discredit him. Foreign powers accustomed to compliant leadership watched with concern. But among the youth and working class, Traoré became a symbol of hope. His bravery in challenging the status quo inspired deep loyalty. He knew words were not enough. So alongside his message, his government worked to reform public institutions, stabilize security, and build a stronger economy. He remained committed to transparency and public dialogue. His legitimacy didn't rest only on power. It came from trust. His speeches were powerful because they were sincere. He spoke with his heart, not from scripts. "I don't have all the answers," he once said, "but I have the determination to seek them with you, and the courage to make the tough decisions our nation needs." That humility disarmed critics and strengthened his bond with the people. Education, he believed, was the foundation of freedom. He urged young people to pursue knowledge and called for massive investment in schools and teachers. "Our greatest resource is not underground. It's in the minds of our children," he would say. He fought corruption with the same energy. He called it a cancer that drained the nation of its future. He promised zero tolerance, regardless of rank or background. That stance earned him the admiration of everyday citizens who were tired of watching elites steal with impunity. Social cohesion was another pillar. In a land of rich ethnic and cultural diversity, he called for unity above all else. "We are all children of Africa, brothers and sisters under the same flag," he often repeated, trying to heal the fractures that past leaders had exploited. Even in dark times, when threats loomed and international pressures mounted, his faith in the people never wavered. His optimism and resilience gave hope. He became a symbol not of perfection, but of courage. His leadership wasn't about self-glorification, it was about service. He walked beside his people, sharing their burdens and dreams. His popularity didn't come from image building. It came from sacrifice, consistency, and authenticity. He knew the journey would be long and the road hard, but he believed deeply in the justness of the mission. "History is on our side," he said. "We fight for freedom, justice, and the sacred right to shape our own destiny." Even in solitude, in quiet moments away from the crowd, he drew strength from the faces he saw. The grieving mothers, the laughing children, the men and women who hadn't yet given up. They were his reason to keep fighting. The relationship between Ibrahim Traoré and his people was not simply political. It was a living, breathing exchange. It was mutual. It was sacred. He gave them a vision, and they gave him their trust. Together, they were writing a new chapter in African history. And so day by day, word by word, step by step, Traoré, son of the soil, was weaving a new narrative. A narrative of hope, of dignity, of self-determination. He invited his people to look within, to rediscover their strength, and to build, with their own hands, the future they longed for. His legacy is still being written. But one thing is clear: his voice awakened a sleeping giant. The collective consciousness of a people who had been silenced for far too long. Now they were rising.